Okay, school board, we are live. We are recording. Phone lines are opened. Go for it.
Thank you very much. Have a motion to open?
I'll make motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. All right. Please rise to the please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
All right, welcome. Welcome people who are watching. So this is our second of four community forums. In the first bond forum, we reviewed all the details involved with capital construction and the debt service. In this meeting, what the community and what the board is going to see is Sam will go over briefly some of the debt service requirements, capital construction real quickly. We'll show the one screen again, and I will come up and display the needs that we've accumulated over the past year and a half. Again, I want to reiterate to the community, to the board, there have been no decisions made. These are simply ideas that have been thrown out to me, to various administrators. We've also asked our administration to provide some input, so we have them on a list, and we will talk about them a little bit. But I'm going to introduce Sam to come up and give a little brief overview before we do that.
Sorry, my back is too. I apologize. So, all right. So, we talked about this last time. Capital construction can take a number of different forms depending on where the money is coming from. But the bottom line rule that we need to remember is that capital construction only occurs when the voters have approved the plan. And you can see various examples of how we've done that in the recent past here in East Hampton. Let's remember how we got here real briefly. In 2017, the district consolidated several older bonds. Those bonds are going to be paid off in a 3-year step down beginning in 2029. So we have an option here. We can replace that debt with new debt to take care of the needs and wants of the district for the next 20 to 30 years, or we can allow that debt to expire. The needs of this district are not...
Excuse me, school board. Excuse me. Can we please stop just for 1 second, please? Thank you. Sorry, school board. We are still live with the YouTube, but I am not recording onto the file right now. Just please stand by.
Anytime. We're live. I'm good. I'll work on the top.
How's everybody's day?
So far, so good. Good start here, thanks, good.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Retired.
It's nice. Chillers are off now.
Okay, school board, thank you very much for the patience. Please continue on with your meeting. We are still live on YouTube and recording. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you, Matt.
Right, so that was our first TV timeout. That's such a record for the world's longest dramatic pause. So, as we said, we can do nothing. We can let the debt expire, but the needs are not going to get any less needy. The windows, as we've said this several times, the windows of the middle school are never going to heal themselves. So by allowing the debt to expire, taxes will temporarily decrease, probably for the average homeowner around $200 a year, but they're going to have to go up if we want the buildings to continue to be habitable, which is why we find ourselves here. This is a unique situation where we were able to replace expiring debt with new debt in order to accomplish projects that are going to need to happen here anyway. It's inevitable. Anyone knows as you own your own home, you have to maintain it or it will deteriorate. So that's how we ended up here in summary. We talked about our needs last time. They really haven't changed. You can see them here. We've identified these as needs because these are things that structurally or to be in compliance with things like Americans with Disabilities Act or to simply maintain what we currently have need to be refurbished, renovated. We list them out here. So the details there. And now I think we're ready to do the wants. So this is the needs we've identified. The administration working with the architect have identified the needs. And here we are with the wants.
Yeah, so I think the list, I mean, it was a comprehensive list, you know, obviously we hit all of the buildings, people from all walks of life have come up to me, people I didn't know before and had said different things. So a lot of it is athletic, a lot of it is, you know, building related, but, you know, you can see additional turf field, softball, turfing the softball field, an athletic facility, meaning an indoor facility, possibility with a track inside, auxiliary gym with turf and a new fitness center, which would be a split. The idea was a split kind of facility indoors with split smaller turf area and moving the fitness center there. If you did that and moved the fitness center out of the high school, you'd be able to repurpose the high school fitness center. That can go down to possibility of, I think it's on the cosmetology lab, which would be another CTE program or an electrical lab. There's also a film studio, AV program. I added recording studio. Our architect said there are schools that have that. Bayshore being one of them has a very comprehensive recording studio in the school. You could see lights have been brought up before, football field lights. Pool has been brought up multiple times with people bringing it up regarding swimming. Obviously, that's something that's important to the community. Fitness center, we put in fitness center needs a new flooring. We can live with the current flooring, but it really needs appropriate flooring there. AC system, you could probably feel why AC system's on there. We have a system that you have to turn off and it runs on the same system. We put that for the middle school too. Some second floor classroom upgrades at the middle school. In addition, John Marshall, we talked about a possibility of an expanded life skills sensory type room for the students. Office renovations, acoustics in the gymnasium, the floor at John Marshall's auditorium, the stage flooring, and possibly upgrades in there with sound system, additional sound system lighting, and that would be also in the needs for the auditoriums. The hallway flooring at John Marshall needs some upgrading. But these are just ideas that people threw out to me. I didn't call any of them, I just threw them out on the list for the board and the community to see. Obviously, there are no prices next to them. There are substantial costs with certain items up there. I mean, I know offhand that there are estimates, turfing fields is not, relative to this bond, is not a big ticket item. Lights are not a big ticket item. A pool and an auxiliary gym are big ticket items, and to the tune of, around 30 or so $1 million, so, or possibly more. So these are just kind of general things to think of, for the board to think about, for the community to think about. But again, they're exciting. I mean, any which way you go with these, it's exciting stuff. So, it's.
Adam, is the middle school science lab on there?
We
Is that
have,
correct?
we have.
Okay, that's
Yep,
on the
Yep,
list.
because that came up, building a science lab at the middle school, yep. So this is the list, and, I think it's, again, these are wants. I think, going back a little bit to the need component, and I said this last time, if you look at the needs, there are things here on this list that if Sam, myself, and Greg, and with our architect, we could possibly pull some of this to create more budgetary space. We could pull some of this off and look at it from a repair reserve, capital reserve perspective to increase the ability to put some of the bigger wants into the bond. It's just a matter of us figuring out, you don't want to deplete your capital reserve with one big project. We've tended to do 2, 3 little or smaller projects like we did with the science center and the playground last year. And the repair reserve has been a godsend in this district. And I know we're going to present more items even next board meeting. So that's, but some of those things can create more space for the wants. How much space will, as we go forward, I think at the next meeting, we'll start throwing prices up there of things, which we have a pretty, kind of comprehensive list from our architect on current estimates. Right?
Sam, remind me, what's the amount of the debt? Is it 60, 70 million? What was it?
We feel that we can replace the existing debt and keep taxes approximately flat for most people with borrowing 64 million. I think we need to just talk about the pricing. I just want to throw this out briefly. There is a bill that was before the legislature in Albany in the last session dealing with requiring public entities only in Nassau and Suffolk County to enter into project labor agreements with unionized workforces for any public work they do, which means that with our public work, with our capital projects, or any projects, we pay what the state calls prevailing wage. The state sets a schedule of what we have to make sure that the contractors' workers are paid. They're not necessarily in the union. Under the project labor agreement, we would be limited to hiring shops that are unionized workforces, and we are getting estimates that will increase the cost of construction significantly. So that that $64 million may only be able to buy somewhere about $40 million worth of work on a comparable scale. That is not yet the law. It passed in one house of the legislature, not the other. We don't know where that's going to head in the coming session. But
So just something to keep in the back of our
something to keep
minds,
in the back of minds, yes.
because that's also going to limit who we can use,
It's very-
and probably increase timeframes, because those companies are gonna be in demand, so just something.
Yes.
And this is only Suffolk County and Nassau County, not the
As the
entire
way,
state?
as the law was written, was presented in Albany in the last legislative session, the law only applied to Nassau and Suffolk counties. Where that goes, I don't know.
My organization, statewide organization, as opposed to the superintendents, I think the business officials have also done the same. So we just don't know. We thought it was going to pass when it was up last time. It didn't.
Right, it failed last time,
Yeah.
right?
And what may unfortunately, what may happen is that we may go to the voters with a plan for our $64 million of spending. The voters, if they choose to approve it, we've said, and then if this law becomes law, we're going to have to severely constrict what we do in order to meet the new budgetary needs. We'll still be spending $64 million, but we'll be able to buy much less than $64 million. Yeah.
How much, I know the auditorium at the high school is on our needs list, right? Not on the wants list?
Yes.
Do we still have an estimate for that?
About 15.
Okay. And what about the middle school auditorium? Is that on the needs list or is that
It's on the needs list, but
needs?
that needs to be fleshed out a little bit more in terms of what exactly we mean with that. We know from the high school auditorium that the lighting, the sound, the stage,
That's a
the-
whole
you know,
overhaul.
it needs to be abated, there's a number of things. What we end up doing at the middle school auditorium can be varied depending on what we want. Seats are relatively new, they can probably be, held over for the renovated auditorium. Where exactly the lights and the sound system fall into that, not sure.
Okay.
A lot of these things, with the pricing, a lot of these things are a bit of a moving target. What exactly do what exactly do we want to get for that?
Right.
Briefly, this is we did this before, but just to reiterate this, for the public, no decisions have been reached. Obviously, the board is going to ultimately decide what gets presented to the voters in May. The board is obviously looking for feedback. We have 2 more of these workshops coming up. Pretty much by the end of the calendar year, we need to arrive at a decision about what you want to see put before the voters in May, because we have to generate, working with the architect, Greg and I have to be sure that there are environmental impact statements generated. These things do not write themselves overnight. It takes time, particularly depending on what we end up doing, what kind of outside assistance we need in drafting those. So the timeline is here. The drop dead deadline for when the board has to vote to put this on the ballot is March 3rd, but the real work has to be done significantly before that. Pretty much, by the end of the year or your meeting in January, we pretty much need to be at the end.
At our next meeting, we're gonna have general rough numbers
Yes.
for the community.
Yep.
So I'm gonna make myself really unpopular here and say, once we have those numbers, and because obviously it's very few people here, can we do some sort of survey, maybe a ranked choice survey, something that can go out that we can get a little bit more feedback? Because if we come up with this list and we hammer out some numbers, and we're still really not getting that much input coming back from the community, I would love to at least see us do, if we could even like, was it turf fields and things like that, where we put
we
a
can do
survey
that.
out, and if you could list the items and even do some sort of ranked choice where we can get a better sense of what the community wants, because they may not take time to come to the meeting or email us,
Yeah, so
but everybody's gonna click on that survey.
Maybe the high school kids can give us that as well.
They're coming, we've formally invited to the 4th meeting. It's during the day, so Sarah's been asked to bring the student association to the meeting for you. So, you will have the student input.
And it's great to have student
Absolutely.
input, that they're going to need to understand, though, like we talked about this the last time, it's unlikely that maybe the 9th graders will see some fruit of this, but
Right, but
It's
having
just
them
so
look at the whole
slow.
system, they can really
it's going to be very
Yeah.
slow.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we put it out there, we'll put a survey, you'll have numbers. We'll call some of the needs out, we'll have some in-house discussion about what we can either do feasibly with some of the needs that we have, that maybe we could pull out for future projects, for capital or repair.
Right.
But again, we'll leave everything, really big ticket items, obviously, in there that can't fill into the.
And
So I
they
think
have
once you
excellent-
list, there's gonna be strong reactions once people see a list with numbers.
Yes.
But that's feedback that we need, and we can't wait until last minute and have people come out of the woodwork and say,
So
We have
yeah.
excellent examples of that. I was talking about if you closely follow the needs list and keeping score at home. We had the middle school parking lot on it last time. We're actually able to pull that out, and it's going to be part of our repair reserve presentation to you
great,
next Tuesday, so that is no longer on
so
the
we can
needs
narrow
list.
it down.
Yeah, and I'll give you another example because Jen Folks was here last meeting, so we talked about building a track, but Jen also brought up to me in an email, the track resurface, I know it needs to be resurfaced.
Mhm.
Jen also brought up the idea of putting a steeplechase in there, which I get. One can be done with a repair reserve, the other
Right.
needs more extensive work to the track and the area over there, so we have to talk a little bit with our architect. There's also some insurance concerns, I've heard things. But that stuff, that might have to stay in. The scoreboards, for example, Kathy needs new scoreboards. Kathy wants the scoreboards from Madison Square Garden. I can replace these scoreboards and they can look like this, that's fine, I can do a repair. But Kathy wants, or the one from AT&T Stadium in Dallas that goes the whole length of.
But it's okay, you wanna be You want to beat Southampton or you want to be under Southampton? Choice is yours.
Yeah.
I just tell you what I want.
But those are discussed, and we'll have it with Kathy and stuff, and I think, listen, when we can do it, and if that's something the board and the community want, I don't see any reason why our athletic team shouldn't have what East Port South Manor has. Why shouldn't we? So, but again, you have to make some decisions with that, because one's 50,000 and one's 350,000.
Okay.
250.
That's for
What
the coming
discount?
box. So I think that's where we stand. Obviously, this presentation, like our previous presentation, will be posted on our website tomorrow morning. And Madam would be happy to continue to receive suggestions from the public. When we put the prices up here, as you say, next time, when we, still in the process of fleshing them out, you're likely going to see that a lot of the money is going to be taken with the needs. And so then you're going to have to decide, ultimately, the board will have to decide where the priorities of the district are.
And
So we may only get a couple of items on the wish list.
And yes, and I think, and we have talked informally about it, I know I've informally talked to board members about it, but there might be an item or two on there that doesn't fit into this bond, that the board can always consider if the community push is strong enough and the community wants it bad enough, then maybe it goes in a separate item, resolution on the ballot. And that in itself would increase taxes. But if the community wants it and the community wants to decide that they want that because they have to have, an indoor football stadium, then you put it on there and they can vote it, but it wouldn't be attached to the
bond, to the replacement.
Yeah, and again, I'm being incredibly facetious with that, but it's, but that's the community should decide that if they want it, so, but then the board obviously would lead that.
But we've had very few community input on this, so this list is generated just from us hearing certain things, but we need the community's input.
We have some people here tonight, hopefully they have something to say.
Or tell anyone to say.
What did we hit it all? I don't know.
You don't have to say it in email or.
I think we've only had like 2 emails, right?
Yeah.
2 or 3 emails.
Yeah.
I mean, I give it to you, I appreciate that the community felt comfortable enough over the last year as we started talking about it, coming out with ideas. I also feel that people probably want to see some of the prices. I think that's what they're looking for, and as we call this. Again, feel free to email me. I have no problem. I'll just add it on. And again, as ridiculous as I just made a statement about the field, no idea. We're not at that point of getting rid of ridiculous right now, and nothing is ridiculous because it's all about scale with certain things. So. Whereas you could want something that's huge and $100 million, there are ways to do different things in smaller that could answer those questions. I mean, Sandy and I have talked about auxiliary gym for the past 10 years probably. And how do you get turf indoor for our kids to play? So you could do a split. There's all different combinations. So, no idea is out of control as far as I'm concerned.
Also, I wanted to bring up one other thing. We talked over the last few years about trying to put housing in the back for staff housing. And now we've been informed that that's really not, we can't make that part of the bond, we can't fund it through education. So, because I know I had a few people ask me, had somebody come last time to find out, but that right now is not something that's feasible because we can't.
No. We need legislation.
Because it's not, right, it's not part of education directly, so we can't use the funds, so
Correct.
unless someone wanted to donate $1 million.
You'd have to donate it,
That
or you'd
won't
have
be
to,
part of this project, just can't.
or you'd have to sell off the land, and I strongly
Yeah, no.
recommend it against selling off any of our property.
But we'd have to look for legislative change, which actually,
To do,
JP and I already talked to John,
Yes.
John about.
Yes.
We'd be talking to him, but, so just if anybody's wondering that, why that's not part of this project,
And
it's
that
not.
process will creep even more slowly than the
Yes, it
state
will.
education
Right.
permitting process will. So.
Well, but then that might be something that we do have more land back there, so maybe, if we're talking about additional fields and things like that, maybe that becomes part of the discussion, because we do have room there.
Anybody want
Joining the
to?
conversation.
Anybody, please?
Do we have public comments?
Please.
I do want to thank Rick for coming here this evening to be part of this process.
All right, so
How
then,
about,
can I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, wait, before we do that,
Oh,
yeah, is there anyone?
Matt, do we have any callers for public comments?
Please stand by. And this is Matt Chapman calling from LTV, just making sure that everything is up and running, which it is, and you have 0 additional callers. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? Make a motion. All in favor? Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.